This show is part of the Miles Offside Podcast Network. Visit twitter.com/milesoffsidepod for more information. And now, on with the show. Welcome to another episode of the Miles Offside Podcast, where we talk a little bit of football and a whole lot of nothing/nonsense. My name is Oscar Puente, also known as Footy from Afar, and with me, as always, is my co-host Chuck Bailey.
You knew you were going to fuck it up again, and you covered for yourself.
Yeah, you got in my head after last week. It's no good.
Pick and commit. Pick and commit.
You do the fucking intro next week. Let's see how that goes.
All right.
Okay. I'm curious. We'll actually try it. And somewhere in the background, he may or may not be able to hear us at this exact moment, depending on how he's sorted out his technology. It's super producer Ian Stimson.
Yeah, the professional sound engineer has more trouble than any of you with his fucking sound.
Well, you know, at your age, technology.
Yeah.
It's the hearing aids, mate. Their batteries run out.
I know. Back to mono.
Yeah, exactly. We had a teacher at school that had a hearing aid, and sometimes in lessons we'd deliberately start talking quieter so that he'd turn it up a bit.
Which is basically what Oscar did to me earlier when I logged back on for the third time, and he fucking starts goldfishing me like, oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, we'd wait until he turned it up all the way and then just make the biggest noise possible.
That's really fucking terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's dead now.
He's dead now. Could be.
Probably.
Football!
Yeah. Is that what you did to him? Just shouted football? Just as loud as you could out of
just
nowhere.
Just how he came behind him, just going, Tesco!
Jesus.
Come on!
Oh, man. How you guys doing this week? You doing all right? Stimmers, how's the posh?
Oh, well, yeah, we've stalled a bit. I mean, drew midweek to Tranmere, where Chuck didn't know where it was, and...
You didn't know where it was either, fuck off.
No, I said Liverpool straight away, and I was right, it's that sort of vicinity. And then we lost yesterday to Doncaster, the constant thorn in our side. So, yeah, it's not good.
Is this... I can't remember. Was this because I was complimentary about Portsmouth? Peterborough.
Fucking Portsmouth.
Portsmouth.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember how it is, but it's just... Yeah, it's not a good week for us this week, sadly.
Yeah, shit.
Well,
you say fucking Portsmouth, but aren't they, like, way down below
Their
you?
form's terrible. Yeah, really terrible.
Yeah, so you're all right then. There you go. And they got to play Southampton.
Oh, did Southampton get relegated already? Twice?
Yeah, they were that bad so far this season that the Premier League just went, you know what, just pop yourselves along.
Yeah.
Straight down to League One.
No, yeah, the old Carabao Cup.
Got the proper South Coast derby in the Carabao Cup.
In it. None of this Bournemouth Southampton shit that we won't be talking about this week.
No, skip over that, Oscar.
Oh, gladly. We'll skip over most of the football this week, I think.
Standards.
Pretty standard. None of us want to talk about our teams.
Are we talking about... Got a point, mate?
But what we do want to talk about is the return of the famous...
Big Mac.
Our very special rapid fire news.
It has been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Genuinely, have we not done this in a while?
I don't think we've done it this season
Not sure
yet,
we've done
honestly.
it all season.
Yeah. I keep forgetting to gather news stories, plus we've had, like, full 10 games to talk about because it's early on.
Huh.
But as the season goes, there's, like, you know, no one wants to talk about Bournemouth Southampton, for example.
Exactly.
No,
But what the people do want to hear about, and our top story for this evening, the Sun football newspaper has reported that James Maddison arrived for the Spurs clash wearing a horrific 6,500 pounds backpack. It was this clear plastic Louis Vuitton monstrosity. I don't know if you guys saw the picture of it.
It was horrendous, but still had more class than the Sun.
Yes, to which he tweeted in response to them, would be worse turning up holding a Sun newspaper, I guess.
There you go.
Good lad.
And that's all the publicity we'll give to that fucking shit rag. Next section. Next section. Next story. Yep. Fuck. We're not already just over
That's
news.
it. That's all the news.
I made rapid fire news rapid. Hooray!
You're wearing a red cap, so make rapid fire news rapid again.
Yeah.
I like that joke.
Just make it rapid. Not again.
Okay.
Just
Yeah, it's never been.
make it legit.
Oh shit, that backpack is awful.
Right?
Yeah. Oh my word.
Genuinely. Emily tells me that that's like a trend right now. Like that's what fashionable people are doing, is wearing like plastic umbrella looking things.
Yeah, because what you want to do when you got shitloads of money is just show all the muggers exactly what they can win.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the end of Bullseye, but the other way round.
And don't worry, I've not clicked through to the shit rag, the Murdoch shit rag. I've managed to get it
Yeah.
on Google Images. Don't worry.
Well, speaking of muggers, our next story. Danny Drinkwater has been beaten up by thugs after trying to chat up a rival player's
Laughing at
girlfriend.
this.
Thugs shouted, "Break his legs," as 6 of them set upon England man Danny Drinkwater, who's currently on loan at Burnley from my beloved Chelsea.
You know, the biggest problem I have with that sentence is England man. He hasn't played for England for a long time.
Yeah.
Yes, did we perchance think he drunk more than water?
That would be a running theme with him.
Well, he'd have to be pretty drunk to chat up some girl, given how fucking ugly he is.
She'd have to be pretty drunk, yeah.
She'd have to be, yeah.
Was it a nightclub in Burnley, though? Because I don't...
Oh god, yeah. The bar is low.
And there goes another Premier League team that we can get to listen to us.
Being as we give out a Burnley of the week every week.
Yeah, they gave up a long time ago.
Oh, I think I know who the Burnley of the week is going to be this week, so...
Okay,
We'll find out.
We could make a game out of it.
yeah. Who dishes out? Who has final say though? Oscar or?
I do, yeah.
Yeah,
Clearly.
it's a stats thing, I suppose.
I'm
yeah.
the one that hates Burnley, and I'm the stats guy,
Yeah.
so...
Okay, you're the arbiter in this. Fair enough.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is actually... We might do that before we jump into the fixtures. We'll see who you guys think is going to be the Burnley of the week.
Yeah?
And I will announce the winner at the end. Yeah, I have a bunch of international news this week to talk about. There's been
Ooh la la.
Champions League, and the European teams have been getting in and about and doing some things. Here's one that'll make me happy. Thibaut Courtois has not kept a single clean
knew
sheet
you'd
since
do this.
February.
This is both on a football pitch and at home, because he is incontinent.
Yep. In the last 8 months for Real Madrid, he has let in 56 goals in 40 matches.
Ooh, that's painful.
That's really fucking bad.
What a big nose prick.
That's almost a goal and a half per game.
Yes.
No clean sheets.
He hasn't kept a clean sheet for Real Madrid.
Not since February.
Ugh.
You know, all that being said, I'd take him back at Chelsea.
Why?
He's better than Kepa.
Yeah, they're both bellends.
Kepa seems like a lovely guy.
No, lest we forget there was that whole substitution thing. Like, that kid's a dick.
Yeah, but that was against Sarri, so I'm on his side.
Fully support him in that.
Remember Sarri? Oh, man.
Yeah,
that
dude,
actually
yeah.
cheers me up more than even the clean sheets thing.
Yeah, he's now at Juve, and they're not doing amazingly well.
Well, I don't even care about that. At least he's not at Chelsea anymore, which is nice. Speaking of Real Madrid, this would have been on Tuesday, I think, or something like that. But in the Champions League, they played against PSG, and for the first time since 2003, so before I was watching, they did not register a single shot on target.
What is with... I mean, we'll probably come on to this in a little bit, just touch on it briefly. But Spanish teams are shit at the minute. Real got battered by PSG. Like, absolutely strung out. And
Yeah, 3-0 was flattering.
PSG didn't have Mbappe, Neymar, or Edinson Cavani. Like-
Jesus.
And 2 of those guys are good. You decide which 2 at home.
Not Neymar. Neymar's a prick. Yeah, Di Maria, absolutely fantastic. Like, their whole team was just amazing, and just they got dominated everywhere. But I mean, why did Zidane go back?
Money, innit?
Like, it's such a fucking mess. Like, it needs so much work, and they're just, buying Hazard. Like, fair enough, Hazard's been injured, but he's not been good in the games that he's featured for Real.
No, and he wasn't good enough to, carry the entire Chelsea team on his back to particular glory. So he's certainly not going to be good enough to do that for Madrid. And Bale literally refused to hold up the little pennant when they were taking their
that
team
was
photo. I don't know if you
brilliant.
guys saw that.
the look on his face when he was handed it, just like, what the fuck are you doing giving that to me?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he just immediately hands it off to someone else. It's just like, what the fuck are you thinking giving that to me?
Oh,
Yeah.
I missed that. There's some serious beef there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Straight up, though, like, I heard that he took the job just to keep Mourinho from getting it. Which is like...
Oh, then I'm all in. Fair enough. Yeah, crack on, Zidane. Yeah, fine.
Have at
We'll
it.
turn around on the issue.
But even with how bad they are, like, Spain is there for the taking right now, because one of the other international stories I was going to bring up is the Barcelona-Granada match. I don't know if you guys saw about that. But Barca lost... It was Messi's first match back in a while, so everyone was like, oh, the real Barca is going to be back, blah, blah, blah. They lost 2-0, and it was 2.6 to 0.2 on XG.
2.6 is in for Granada.
For Granada, and 0.2.
Man, that's a proper fucked.
That's a dicking.
I mean,
yeah, that's a proper dicking.
I've watched Barca 3 times this year, and I've said every time, it's been painful to watch them.
They're shit. They're really bad.
Yeah, like they had that one game that they won 5-2, which I can't remember who they were against. And they went 1-0 down. They didn't look great. And then it was the game where Griezmann did the glitter thing or whatever. I don't know. Because that's what you do. Because you know, football is Fortnite. You twat.
Was it like a gender reveal thing? Like it was like blue glitter, and then someone in the crowd was like, hey, it's a boy!
I don't think Griezmann is a boy. It's just, same situation as Real. Like, but especially even more now that it just kind of shows that, yes, Messi has been carrying that team for so long.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like last year, statistically, was the most dramatic show. Like, I'm trying to find how to phrase this. Messi really fucking carried that team, and there was nothing else going on last year. And it was that was the most of that it's ever been in his entire career. By far, too. Like, it wasn't even close.
So
yeah, it's awful.
You'll have to forgive me because I don't watch a great deal of European football, but is there some specific reason why Spanish teams seem to be struggling? I think
it's just a coincidence.
I think it's kind of the same situation probably we had here as when Leicester won the league. Like, just you look at Real Madrid for, they had so much success for so long, not domestically but in Europe, which is what they really want, that you can't really get away with changing that team. You can't, because especially, the super passionate fan bases that Madrid and Barcelona have, like, they will jump on you for getting rid of one of the beloved players.
Yeah.
So all of these players like Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, that play for all that time are gradually getting older and older and older. They've all been rewarded with longer contracts that now they're basically impossible to sign or offload to anyone.
Yeah.
And so you're then kind of stuck in this situation where you just kind of have to let it stagnate a bit to run down their contracts to then, either lose them on freeze or actually give them as make weights to bring in younger players somewhere. And I just think it's that both of those teams are kind of matched up at the same time.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Messi's now got, I don't know how much truth there is in this, but supposedly the clause is now in his contract that basically he can leave whenever he wants now. Year on year, it's like a rolling thing. Like if he decides he doesn't want to be there anymore, which I can't really see happening maybe for a couple of years.
I don't think he'll ever leave.
34. I think if he did leave, he'd just go back to
Argentina.
Like he'd go back to Argentina.
Yeah, play for like Boca Juniors or whatever.
No, he wouldn't go. I don't think he'd go to Boca. He'd go to Newell's Old Boys again and just go back to his boyhood club and what got him to kind of the place where he could go to Barcelona. But yeah, I just think it's that. It's just those two matching up. And Atletico aren't really that convincing. So you wonder if
and they lost Griezmann too, which is like he was their best player by far.
Yeah, so you wonder if it could be a season, I don't know, where you could get a shock like Villarreal or maybe Bilbao come through because they're a really exciting attacking team and
or Valencia,
just something different, or Valencia, because they Valencia got a good result against Chelsea.
They looked good. They looked good for it
in the
too.
Champions League and did look good. And so I think that's just kind of what's shaping up in Spain. I mean, there's not all of the games, but quite a few of the games are available here now on ITV4. So I think it's something to watch out for this year and try and see some games that aren't necessarily you're watching it because of Barcelona and Real, because if you watch Barcelona and Real now, you'll be disappointed because they aren't what they used to be. But you can see them be got at in a way that we haven't thought tangible for many years now.
Yeah, and I think the aging thing is exactly right, because there was those 2 or 3 summers where they just raided the Premier League for all the stars. Between the two of them, they signed Bale, Suarez, Modric, Ronaldo, I don't know, some other guys. I'm not remembering everybody.
Some other dudes. Yeah, blokes.
Yeah, and now all of those guys, that whole crop, are hitting their mid-30s. And, that's exactly right. They're just kind of past it. But imagine a team full of Ozils. What are you going to do? No one wants to buy them, but they're old and expensive. And so, even teams like Madrid and Barcelona, who seem to have infinite money, can't just carry those guys and then also sign 11 other superstars on top of that.
That's why I was wondering whether there was something specific, because the Premier League TV deal took it up a notch last time it went round. I didn't know whether there had been a disparity in that maybe the Spanish TV deal hadn't. And like you say, they're not able to just raid free.
Well,
the
Spanish ones, I can't remember the specifics of it. It's very different, and it is weighted towards the club because they buy the rights for those games. So obviously that's why Barcelona and Real just keep going because people want to watch those games. So they get way more money, whereas teams like Granada, Eibar don't necessarily get anywhere near as much. So when they get the results against those teams, it's fucking huge.
Yeah.
And you see it over here too. The Premier League is by far the most watched league. I don't even watch La Liga because they jacked up the price on that, and it's a separate package from the one that the Premier League is on. So I haven't watched it since that season where Messi scored 1 million goals and set the record. But walking around, it's Real Madrid and Barca jerseys everywhere. Much, much more so than any Premier League team. Even though the Premier League as a whole is more watched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's the same thing, maybe not in England, because everyone over there is a Premier League fan, obviously, but internationally, no one has the appeal that Madrid and Barca do. But despite that, they just don't. I'd imagine next summer we are going to see an insane transfer market. Chelsea are going to be back, and they're going to have infinite money, more money than they've had in a very long time to spend. Man City realized that they can do whatever they want and they won't get in trouble. And all those guys, because Munich aren't that good either anymore. They're going to have to really heavily invest too.
Nah, Munich are kind of at the end. So Munich, I think, are a couple of years further on than Barca and Real. Because obviously they've just lost Ribéry and Robben, who were kind of, those were their guys that were kind of stuck there for a while. So they've shifted those out. And now, they did promise that they were going to spend big this year, but with the Premier League and the way money is, it's still hard to attract players, and the wage demands for clubs of that manner are still very high. So they didn't really spend much at all, I don't think, Bayern. Whether it's because they don't trust their manager or not, who knows? But I'd expect Bayern next year to probably go big. Dortmund probably as well. So the German league is kind of at a similar state that the Premier League clubs were after the year Leicester won to then just go, right, fuck it, let's go. But Bayern still just clean up that league because it's Bayern.
Yep. All right, well, that'll do it for Rapid Fire News.
I was going to say, Rapid Fire News is back.
And true to form, we can go ahead and jump into the Premier League results. So let's start off with the early kickoff of the weekend. We had Aston Villa West Ham. No, just kidding. No one wants to talk about that. Wait, Aston Villa West Ham was...
Aston Villa West Ham, that was last week.
That was last Monday.
That was a very early kickoff.
Stupid Understat has them on the same page as all the other ones from this week and not on last week's game week
calendar
page.
week. That's fucking...
Stupid. Oscar doesn't know what the fucking fixtures were. Off the top of his head. The first game was Bournemouth-Southampton. We're not talking about that. That was the Friday night football. We're not talking about
I forgot about that stupid kickoff, and it almost fucked my FPL team, but it turns out I made the lineup I wanted anyway. We were sitting at the movies watching Ad Astra, and I got a text from you guys, and I was like, oh, fuck the Premier League! God damn it! But Saturday, we did have a pretty entertaining match to start us off for the actual week, which is Leicester 2, Tottenham 1.
Ooh!
VAR strikes again, gentlemen. I'm sure we're tired of talking about VAR at this point, but that has to be the most hilarious use of VAR ever.
Well, it was 1-1. VAR was 1-0, so there you go.
Yeah.
Cross each other out. The fact that the Leicester one, there was 5 players offside when the ball is played in, and Son, it was like half an armpit.
One armpit hair, one thin, wispy, extra long armpit hair. It's like sticking out.
I should have shaved that one.
Will we see players start to wax their entire bodies?
Or wear sort of big girdles, suck themselves in a bit.
Suck themselves in, yeah. Or just be like Raheem Sterling and make sure they're running at 1 billion miles an hour so it can't focus.
Exactly, yeah.
Before we get into VAR too much, though, I do just want to, as much as it hurts
we're not getting
me...
into VAR. We're not getting into VAR.
Okay, fine. Before we get into the rest of this match too much, I do want to highlight, as much as it pains me to give him any praise whatsoever, that Kane goal was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
That was pretty fucking special.
It really was.
Just to have the presence.
Yeah,
never
exactly.
Mind there's the athletic aspect of it, which is as you're falling to hit the ball well enough that it goes in. But also just to have the presence of mind to know when your whole body is horizontal to goal, to be able to
still manages to convert an amazing amount of momentum into the ball. It's really... I've not been Kane's biggest fan this season, but yeah.
No, and he hasn't been like genuinely good in almost 2 years now. Like, clearly just the injuries have genuinely affected him, but...
Yeah, of course.
You know, raw talent will show out every once in a while. Like, he's still an amazingly technically talented player, even if the physicality element of his game has fallen off and it has prevented him from really playing to his level. That shit, like, the amount of body control to do that, I don't think I could fold myself in half like that sitting down, let alone at a full sprint while falling. Like, Jesus Christ.
No, but there's different reasons for that. But I think it's, like you say about Kane, and this is what's weird, like I saw the stat that I think he scored 4 goals in the league this season. 4, maybe 5. But let's say it's 4. I mean, that's... And it seems like he's underwhelming and not that great, but that's still 25 goals. Like, if you extrapolate that over the season, that's still great. Like,
yeah, that's true.
The Golden Boot last year was 24, wasn't it, when 3 players won it? I don't know. Someone check. Nerds, check. Listener nerds, check the stats. I don't know. If you can be bothered. No one ever bothers to correct me, so this is the problem. It's just a self-propagating thing now that I'm not going to fact-check myself.
Yeah, like the whole United's defense isn't good thing from last week, where you're like, I don't care. Fuck numbers.
I don't need to check. Use your eyes. They're shit.
It was 22 for the record. There was 3 people on 22 last year. Aubameyang, Mane, and Salah.
So there you go. So he's on course to beat last year's Golden Boots by 3. But yeah, it's good. Tottenham themselves are not, and Leicester are. Leicester
are legitimately good. Like, genuinely. They've had some horrible, horrible fixtures, and they've played really well and taken points from them.
3rd in the league. Like, that's... After 6 games, you know, good solid results. Of course, it's still early, but the way they're playing and the way they're taking those games is... Like, Brendan Rodgers has got them playing back the way they were when they won the league, basically. It's finally, you're kind of seeing why that team did win the league that season, that it wasn't just absolute fluke, because... I don't think anyone could really win it on absolute fluke over the course of a 38-game season. Like, there are qualities there, and there's a spirit and an ability which all of a sudden is just being brought out again, it seems, which is fantastic to see.
I think it's really interesting that, like, before the season, we were like, who could crack into, and everyone was, who could crack into the top 6? Leicester, Everton, and they look poles apart at the minute. I mean, throwing money at the situation does not always work, because Leicester have used that Premier League win to attract players, and have sort of, it feels like they've like slowly built up a squad that you could never imagine anywhere near the bottom half of the table now.
No, but I mean, what did you say? Because you said it last week. How much have Everton spent?
115 million.
115 million, and that was
this
like
summer.
Net spend, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Ugh. I think that's right.
But Leicester, I think, because obviously it's been a few years now since the Premier League win, and that obviously attracted some players, but a lot of those have kind of come and gone already. Like, there was big fuss made over Slimani when he came, he's gone. But obviously the team that won the league, the big ones that were kind of influential, Mahrez, Kante, Danny Drinkwater, Shinji Okazaki, like, all kind of gone.
I do think it's hard to understate, though, how much Maddison has been like a huge impact on their...
Such a good player.
Huge. I mean, before he scored this week, he was the player who'd had the most shots without scoring in the league, and
I saw that. Yeah, he was very aware of that stat as well.
I feel like we should also point out that it's not just their attack. Like, it's easy to look at it and be like, oh, James Madison, Jamie Vardy, like, they look really good going forward, but they've actually, by the underlying numbers, have the second best defense in the league right now.
And they just sold the best centre-back in the league, or fucking whoever wants to say that.
But no, I mean, that being said, though, they sold him late in the summer. They didn't really have time to, like... Did they even replace him? I don't remember them bringing a centre-back in.
No, but they had that... fuck knows how to pronounce his name. I see a billion things. Soyuncu or whatever.
Yeah.
They had that guy for at least since the January window last year. There's at least 6 months to a year that he was there and was kind of looking to be brought into the team.
Gotcha. Okay.
And he's done a fantastic job. I think next to Johnny Evans, who's obviously like very experienced centre-back in the league. And they have, especially because you consider, like you mentioned, that their defence has been good. Like, Brendan Rodgers isn't known for being a good defensive manager.
Well, I think he defends by possession. Kind of like Sarri did last year, actually, because we had the third best defense last year, and it wasn't because we had good fucking defenders. Like, we had Luis and Alonso.
Yeah, we can tell by this year.
But it's just defense by possession. Like, you just never let the other team have the ball, and that's kind of what they're doing, too. Like, they're not a counter-attacking team as much as they are a possession team. Very much like in the better version of Rodgers' Swansea, insofar as they have, like, much more talented players. But they're just not giving up shots, like, at all. They've given up less shots and they've given up less XGA than Man City and Liverpool, both. Like, it's really impressive. We should really give a lot of credit to Leicester here. I think a lot of people are inclined to be like, oh, the story is Spurs and VAR and Spurs giving up and not winning and Spurs are stumbling. Which is true. Like, they are stumbling, and that's good for Chelsea that the other London teams are also kind of shit. But, like, I do really want to highlight how good Leicester has been. Because I think they deserve it, and I don't think people are talking about it enough.
There we go, and we just talked about it enough.
There we go. All right. Well, let's move on to, did anybody have this as biggest dicking of the season? Manchester City 8, Watford 0, 6.8 to 0.3 on XG.
5.8. 6.8?
6.8, according to Understat. Let me see where Kaylee has it.
That must include the penalty.
I saw it as 6 or like 5.3 plus penalty.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's right. I forgot Understat takes the penalties in. Yeah, it's 5.4.
I'm pitching Man City as Burnley of the week. I mean, overperforming on a pathetic six expected goals. I mean, come on.
To be honest, I watched that game and I tuned in at about 4 minutes.
So it was 7-0 already?
Yeah, no, it was already 1-0. It was 1 minute 7 and 10, 12 and 18, I think, and was just like, holy fuck. And that was 18 minutes, 5-0 down. We've all seen the stats and everything everywhere, but I just wanted it should have been 7-0 at half time. That's just a categorical
It's amazing
fact.
that it wasn't enough.
Yeah, Aguero, like, despite everything, really didn't have a good day.
No, I've seen his individual XG was like 2.3.
Yeah.
1.2 expected assists or something like that.
So, they had, I think, 3 guys with over 2 individual XG. Like,
Jesus.
Oh wait, that can't add up.
That doesn't work.
Yeah.
Numbers.
Never mind.
I just really want it. Well, obviously they were going on about it then endlessly that the biggest win has been Man United versus Ipswich in like 19 whatever.
I thought it was 9-0 with a Tottenham win.
The biggest win was Man United's 9-0 against Ipswich in 1995.
95. I was going to say 95, but
There
there
you
you go. And I just wanted to see a game go at double figures, because then it could be like FIFA, when you score so many goals that the announcer afterwards doesn't say the number, they just say lots.
Brilliant.
And it's like the ultimate insult. It's like Man City, lots, Watford, 0.
It's the same thing as does it get up to 7 when they start putting the word in brackets in like video printers and stuff? It gets to such a number that to make sure you know it's not an error, they put it in words.
That's awesome. So are Watford going to fire their manager?
I mean, he's been there for 2 games, so they're probably getting that itch.
Yeah.
They haven't fired a manager in like a week and a half now.
I actually felt bad for them. Like, I watched till halftime and then I was like, I don't
I didn't.
I'm not even
at all.
enjoying this. I turned it off and we just started packing stuff, and like I had it on the radio, but it was just embarrassing. Like I really felt bad for them.
I kept watching. I couldn't stop. It was just like they're going to score again. They're going to score again. I don't have this like. I think you could see Pep was kind of feeling bad, or just like, look, I'm not going to say anything, because he was just sat in his chair. He wasn't really animated, like in a positive or overly negative way. It was just like this is a thing that's happening now. Sort of like the Watford players, really. They just saw that it was a thing that was happening. I can do nothing to stop it. It's just going to be there.
But he had to be like that because it was like, well, I might need these goals.
The simple fact is, and people saying, oh, they should stop after this. Like, fuck
bullshit.
that. It is their job to go out and do that. And I'm sorry, if you're Watford and you're going to get pumped 8-0, like, you fucking take your medicine. Like, that's...
They're professionals. It's their fault. It's you. Yeah, exactly right. The title was won by a point last year. Mm-hmm. They're currently 5 points behind. Like... They have to. They cannot take their foot off the gas at any point.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, imagine if they did, and then it was done on goal difference this year. Mm-hmm. I mean, for fuck's sake. So, yeah, that sort of...
Oh, yeah, and now they have, like, a better goal difference than the next 6 teams combined or something like that.
Which is a point. That's a point.
Yeah, exactly. So... You know, what a salve to the wounds of their loss last week to Norwich is go to Ukraine and beat Shakhtar 4-0 and then come back to the Etihad at the weekend, and people think, oh, maybe they're a bit tired. Ukraine's a long way. Nah, fuck that. 5-0 in the first 18 minutes with Oscar's tip of the week, Otamendi getting a goal and an assist. After he slagged him off all day and said, this City team will not be good at defending with Otamendi as the main centre-back.
Okay,
I wasn't going to bring it up.
I wasn't going to bring it up because clearly this is not the time. But since it came up anyway, I do think that is a genuine, like, this is the worst time to say this sentence, but I'm genuinely worried about City right now. Because Otamendi is their only healthy centre-back for the next approximately 2 months. They're not going to play Watford every week.
No, that's the thing. Like, yeah, that's the thing.
And Liverpool have a head start on points. Like, it's a 5-point head start. It's a decent head start.
If they'd played City, yeah, I'd agree. But to kind of go back to what you said last year, now, I mean, because City are going to be great. So now to kind of twist it, all City need to do is beat Liverpool. You know what I mean? Like, if City
because they're both going to beat everyone else. Yeah, is what you're saying.
If City beat Liverpool twice, well, that's 5 points done. There you go. But I think even though he's not a centre back, Fernandinho coming back in has more of a presence and a kind of awareness that I think he can lead that core between what will, I guess, be him, Otamendi and Rodrigo, to actually make sure that works as a unit more, as opposed to Otamendi with Stones, where they're both kind of, they've got a bit of a rick in them. Both.
I'd rather have Fernandinho at centre-back than Stones. I mean, in this situation.
Are you, like, for real? Stones is good, man.
No, I mean, as it stands at the minute, where they are 5 points behind, I think I probably would. Yeah.
Because, we've said before, there's no real strong leaders in that team anymore. They need, I think, someone like Fernandinho being there can drive that
and
forward.
And Stones and Otamendi do not have a good record together.
No, awful.
No.
Awful.
So but I'm not saying Stones is a bad defender or a bad player.
And we're talking about 80 million quid's worth of centre-backs as well.
This is sure. Yeah. I'd take them both at Chelsea.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying at the minute, I have no problem trusting Fernandinho in that role. He's a just consummate professional. Positional awareness is incredibly good. And Stones hasn't always got that positional awareness. So I would just be happy with that. But like you say, with the injuries and stuff, it is paper thin at the minute.
Yeah, and, doesn't fucking matter if you go 5 goals up in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And Kevin De Bruyne is back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Kevin De Bruyne is
that man is so
sexy
good.
Casper the Ghost-looking motherfucker. I mean, that 8th goal was just...
How often do you get to say that?
Oh, yeah, well, first of all, that was weird. But he He took the ball and just thought, I'm going to go with this a little bit. And it was like the ball insulted his mum because he just went, you know what? Like, zero fucking about. Did the Eric Cantona arms up in the air, standing still celebration. Like, yeah, I just did that.
Did you see it? I just did that.
Did you see that? It made that satisfying, you know when the ball really hits the back of the net and it sounds like metal detaches and like clings together. It was like that. Like that old...
Yeah.
And it was just... Mwah.
That fucking hurt, too, because we were... I was breaking down like my home theater system because like that's where we were at in terms of the packing. So I had the game on the radio and I was listening to TalkSport because that's the station that like there's no American station on the radio that like does Premier League coverage. So I was listening to fucking TalkSport on the international radio and they just spent the whole like last 20 minutes after the De Bruyne goal being like, "Can you believe Chelsea let him go?" Like, and I was like, "Fuck, I know. I'm fucking aware of the fact that he was at Chelsea when he was very young and Mourinho drove him out. Thank you. You have to keep fucking repeating that. I'm well aware of that fucking
There's
fact.
a lot of players that you could transfer that to as well. It's quite funny. Yeah, he was at Chelsea, but Mourinho drove him out.
Yeah, but the other big one's Lukaku, and at this point, that's looking like maybe a good thing.
That bloke Salah.
Who?
No, Lukaku's doing well at Inter. It's just all the fucking racists.
Well, yeah. I just pulled up City's fixtures, and if Stones can come back early... And I know you guys were saying, like, oh, I don't know that I trust him any more than Fernandinho necessarily, but it will undoubtedly be a good thing for them that he's back at least as an option. If he can be back early, 2 months from now, they're playing Liverpool on November 10 and then Chelsea at the Bridge on November 23rd.
You say that like it's a difficult fixture.
By then, Ruben and Callum will be back, and Rudiger. Fuck off. Those
Chelsea
are hard
won't
fixtures.
have learned how to defend.
Whew, okay.
Should we just do Chelsea? Should we just get out of the way like a plaster?
Patience, my son. We'll get there. The point I'm trying to make is that they have a good run of fixtures between now and then.
Yeah.
But then they have a really, really ugly run. So if he can be back early, fine. But if not, they hit a really dangerous period around mid-November where that really could haunt them. Because in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, their next 5 fixtures are Everton, Wolves, Palace, Villa, and Southampton. And of those teams, really only Wolves are any good at all. And Wolves barely, at least lately.
Not
Wolves,
the minute.
Wolves haven't won a game in the league this year.
But they're still, like, better than those other guys. Like, they're better than Southampton, Villa, Palace, and Everton.
Yeah, I mean,
on
still the last team to win it the Etihad, but yeah, don't worry, mate.
Well, let's keep going then. Burnley 2-0 Norwich. Burnley 2.5 on XG. That's, I guess, somewhat notable, but I don't particularly care.
Only to say what a crash down to earth for Norwich and the surreptitious speaking Daniel Farker. It's a very soft... It's like the quintessential kind of effeminate German voice that you just really want to listen to him, but you're also kind of scared of him at the same time.
We're bordering on like Brexit FC territory right now. You know, those effeminate German voices. You know how those Germans are.
It's very delicate, and he speaks like this, like, "Oh, do want a little chocolate. You've been such a good boy."
Yeah. Meanwhile, Jurgen Klopp is like, "Ah!"
Yeah.
Jurgen Klopp is terrifying.
Gravel in a blender.
Yeah.
But what a crash down to earth for Norwich after
Yeah.
beating City 3-2. Then you just get loose to Burnley. And don't even get Burnley'd in the process. You just got beaten by Burnley.
Properly beaten, yeah. Pookie, R.I.P. Everyone's going to transfer him out now.
Nah, he still should.
No, I'm just kidding. If you transfer him out, you're an idiot. Yeah, don't transfer him out.
Yeah, no, transfer him out, everyone.
By all means. Stimmers, you should get rid of Pookie if you have him.
Oh, look, you're not getting in my head about that one. I'll take Delafeu,
Not
but
again.
I'm keeping Pookie. Fucking hell.
All right, well, next, neither of you guessed, so we're not going to play this game this week.
No,
Maybe
I'm
next
going to
week
guess.
I'll remember.
I'm going to guess.
Yeah.
Burnley of the week. It absolutely has to be Sheffield United.
Of course it has.
Because they won 2-0 and they only had one shot.
Yeah.
Yep, 2-0, 0.5 to 1.1 on XG.
Yeah.
And 0-2 on the scoreline, so harsh on Everton.
But not just the XG, they had one shot and they won
I know.
2-0.
One literal shot.
It's very amusing.
Well, their manager himself was sort of like, after the game, was just like, yeah, don't know how that happened. So it's a bit of a laugh, isn't it?
Yeah, he did. He said about 3 times in the post-match interview. Oh, football, crazy, isn't it? Like, we were shit. Yeah, we're glad to be here. Of course we are.
I like Sheffield. They're really growing on me.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
it started because I forgot that that's the Sheffield team that Dave hates, and I actually convinced myself that it was the one that he likes. So I was like, oh, I'm going to like this Sheffield team in solidarity because like I like Dave and he's a good guy. And now I just like them because they came up and they're just sticking it to everybody, man. They're just like having a go. Not so much in this one because they had one shot, but they're getting results. I think they're going to stay up.
I think all three promoted teams, there's something to like there. I don't think there's any hostility, especially obviously Norwich. They've done the same. They stuck to the way they played. Sheffield United have stuck to the way they played, and they were smart and they took their chances obviously and got a bit of luck against Everton. But Everton are to be got at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sheffield are 9th on expected points so far, ahead of Leicester, just marginally ahead of Leicester. But like,
I don't
that's
think they've
legit.
played many of like the big teams though.
One in the eye for Chelsea there.
Yeah.
I said many.
Fair enough. Fine. I'll let it go.
I got myself out of that one.
Yeah, but yeah, good on Sheffield. And I do recall one host of this podcast saying that all 3 promoted teams would have a decent chance of staying up. I don't know. Maybe I'm imagining that.
I think we all said it, didn't we?
No,
I'm pretty sure I said it and the two of you were like, not all 3.
Oscar's only bringing this up because he said it specifically.
Yeah, it was me. Spoiler alert. I'm much like Chuck in that regard, that I only bring things up that I said when it suits me.
I think I said Sheffield would struggle, and I am being roundly shown to be a fool.
You said all 3 promoted teams would stay up this year, but in the predictor league, you put 2 of them as getting relegated. So
yes, but that's like when you pick up the same players as the person behind you in your mini league.
Right.
Because you want to cover, just in case.
Okay.
I don't know how you guys did the predictor league, but I didn't actually make it what I think is going to be the final table. I did it so that hopefully I don't lose this year. I just don't want to be in last place. So I was like, I tried to think like what you two would do.
Okay, because A, we are the only other people in the league.
Well, I don't want to lose to you two.
The way you decided to play the game was to completely neglect the foundations
of the game.
Of how to win the game.
Yep.
Does seem a strange way to play.
Yeah, you're fucking daft. You can tell this is someone that came last year.
Hey, fuck off, because Ian didn't think about his last year either, Mr. Strategy, betting on the gambling odds anyway. Mr. I won by just going off the bookies.
Worked though, didn't it?
Yeah, worked. Literally picked the best way. Going with the advice of people who make lots of money by doing this thing.
Which takes us to Sunday. We had Palace 1, Wolves 1. Wolves down to 10 men, which the moment that red card came in, Chuck, you said...
we will not win this game.
And you were right.
You did say that.
To make it more embarrassing for Palace, because I want to, because you're going to be a prick when we get to Chelsea, it was 0.9 to 1.5 on XG. So Wolves had 1.5 despite being down to 10 men.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can say that, but A, that just means at least our defence is still good. B, I would say we performed our numbers, but it was an own goal. So we got 0.9 and scored 0, I guess. And also we got a point against Wolves, which is a good result. Don't care about their current form and the fact they haven't won this year. Still got a point, which is still infinite more points than your 2 shit teams got this week.
Wow. Well, do you want to have a little word with Roy Hodgson? Because he looked fucking depressed afterwards.
No fucking shit. I mean, I'm depressed and I only have to pay attention to that team once a week. Every other week with an international break. He's got to be in that environment every day. Every day. The man's like 74. He doesn't need it.
He's the first Palace manager to preside over 100 Premier League goals.
Yeah, and it's also the first time he's had that in his career,
Yeah,
I think, as well. It was like both. So that's quite nice.
It's a match made in heaven.
It's just we need a striker, and it really hurt. Like watching Batshuayi come on for Chelsea today, I was just like, "Oh, we could have." You're bringing him on in like the 80th fucking minute, and Frank Lampard doesn't even give a shit and isn't playing it. Just let him. Oh, we're just gonna get absolutely rinsed by some club in January and spend a load of money and maybe get 7 goals before they move to Leicester.
It's gonna be us. We're gonna fucking rinse you by selling Batshuayi for a ton of money.
Yeah.
Well, the good news for you, though, is that you're not in the relegation zone on expected points. You're just barely out of it.
Oh, that's good.
You know.
And we're only 1 spot behind Chelsea in the league.
It's your best start in a few years. I mean, you usually start worse than this.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's because I know everything's so close.
Yeah,
like
it is.
There's 6 teams on 8 points, and obviously a couple on 7, a couple on 6, and it's just typical Palace. Like you look at that game against Sheffield United where we were absolutely woeful, and obviously got the 1-0. They got the 1-0 win. Sorry, we had the bit of luck against Villa, where they had the goal disallowed, which really shouldn't have been. And then today you give away again against 10 men. Fuck's sake. Even considered betting on it as well. And I should really back myself that the second the team playing Palace goes down to 10 men, just back them double chance, guys. This is the best betting gambling advice I could ever give you. The second the other team goes down to 10 men, back, win or draw.
That's going to have to be like the miles offside lock. As soon as that happens,
the
we
other
tweet
team.
it.
Doesn't matter what minute it is whatsoever. Like we just don't win. I think 1 out of the last 7 times we've been against 10 men, we've won. Like it's just doesn't fucking happen. And so it's just woeful. Like 6 games, yeah, okay. 8 points, okay. We've scored 4 goals. Like, okay, we've only conceded 7 and 4 of those were in the same game. So it's not like the worst in the world. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like a great start. I don't know whether it's because I'm just assuming we should be better than we are.
No, it's just a bad start.
I think it's just been like with the transfer window stuff and the Zaha drama and everything getting propagated and Palace not really signing anyone and the players they did sign not featuring. Like we bought Camarasa, who was meant to be this attacking midfield player, not even in the squad anymore. There's no news on him. He's not injured. He's just in the under-23s. Max Meyer isn't starting. You know, we're going up against Wolves, who are meant to be tied, and we should go, we should maybe try and go against them or have some creative players. So our centre midfield is Milivojevic, Kouyaté and MacArthur, who are great disruptors and they're a good physical presence, but they aren't playmakers. Like they're not
pacey
picking out
creativity. Yeah,
no, they're not like a Meyer or something. And I just think it needs to be a bit more cohesive. We've had huge injury problems. Like straight away from the start of the year. I mean, you look, as I said to you guys before, when we were starting with Scott Dan and Martin Kelly as our centre-backs, like that's our 4th and 5th choice. And so automatically the team is set up to kind of protect them and be more defensive. So now we're getting, today we had Cahill and Sacco, which, I would have liked to have seen a clean sheet out of that. But you've also got Tompkins there as well, who is stronger. So it probably then gives more confidence going forward to then mean that we don't have to play so defensive in central midfield and can free up someone else. But, Jordan Ayew's got a couple of goals, which is good. But Benteke is just, I don't know, man. It's such a shame and such a thing after like his first season with Palace and what he's done in the past is both playing well, but it's just pretty woeful at the minute. It's really like unenthusiastic, and it's still like it's 8 points from 6 games. If you keep on that stretch for the whole season, you're on 50 points. Like that's a fucking good season.
Yeah,
considering
but it doesn't feel like it at all.
It doesn't feel like it. No, and it's not that obviously it's different levels because for Chelsea, I think Chelsea, Man United, and Tottenham. Yeah, Chelsea, Man United and Tottenham are all on 8 points. And Palace are on 8 points. But also Burnley and Sheffield United are on 8 points.
It's still early that actual points are, like, not particularly informative.
I don't know. After 6 games is when you start to get a feel. I think after 5 is when you start to get form. But I just think it's that the league is so fucked up and truncated now that it's not just that the promoted sides are performing well, it's that there's, half of the top 6 are just fucking garbage.
Yeah, 2/3. Well, really, most of it. Well, now that Chuck is sufficiently depressed, we'll take a break and come back and talk about Chelsea and my own sadness after, and talk about listener stuff and Predictor League and all that. So we'll take a quick break. I'll take a few shots of hard alcohol to prepare myself for the oncoming slew of, abuse that I have, and we'll see you in a little bit.
Anyway, sorry.
And welcome back to part 2 of Miles Offside, where I don't normally do the intro, but we're still here, we're still talking about football, and we will take it now to what, in retrospect, now that I'm looking at the numbers, should have been the Burnley of the week. And that is West Ham 2, Manchester United 0, 0.5 to West Ham on XG to 1.2 on United.
Whee!
So that is quite the overperformance. Did you guys see this match?
No, but it was nice, wasn't it?
That's the one I was watching over the Palace match.
How were United? Talk to us. Paint us a picture with your words.
United were really solid, organized, but they just invited so much pressure onto themselves. But I think for me, the big story here, other than West Ham's attack looking like a legitimately good attack, despite overperforming their numbers here, is United's striker problems. Because Martial was already injured coming into the match, and Rashford pulled up with a hamstring or a knee or something. He pulled up with no one anywhere near him. And it looks like he's going to be out for a while.
And he didn't look good anyway.
No, not at all. He looked like someone who was really tired. And of course he did a muscle injury after that. And their solution was to bring in Jesse Lingard and play him up top, which is
Yeah, your laughs are correct.
That is a genuine cause for concern for United. Who maybe shouldn't have sold Lukaku without bringing someone else in to replace him. But United's defense continues to look good. Only 0.5 against a very good West Ham attack. West Ham have been...
they still conceded 2.
Yes, okay.
Don't try and say, they did really well. They conceded 2 goals and they didn't score any against West Ham. They need the credit as well, I think. I think we don't need to go into this anywhere near as long because, I don't really like West Ham. But Pellegrini is kind of... his managerial qualities are coming out a lot more, and with that team, and his pedigree is kind of being instilled, and I think they're doing good things. And they've actually, they've had signings that were injured for ages come back, like Yarmolenko.
Yarmolenko looked really good today too.
Yeah, and he came in with such promise in the last couple of games that he's played. He's looked really, really good, and he came with a lot of hype, obviously.
Yeah. And this was Aller's worst game so far, but he also has looked phenomenal through the first few matches.
He's looked amazing.
He's well up the charts on individual XG this season so far.
And they got rid of Andy Carroll.
Yeah, which is always an upgrade.
Who was cheered at Newcastle when he came on. Why are you cheering? The guy doesn't score goals.
Well, they got $30 million for him, and then he came back, and he's still the same old Andy Carroll. So
that's profit, I suppose. That's
profit, exactly.
All about net spend, buddy.
I think he was step 2 in the underpants gnomes.
Yeah, exactly. Step
Profit.
2, Andy Carroll. Step 3, profit.
Sell Andy Carroll.
Yeah.
Step 2, get back Andy Carroll on a free. Step 3, profit.
It almost makes step 1 redundant, steal underpants, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Is Mike Ashley just an underpants gnome? All along, we didn't know. All right, well, I guess we'll just move on from that.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Man United anymore. I told you this
not at all. Week. Ole being...
oil of Ole. What is he, a fucking face cream?
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I can't say it. I might as well not say his first name, right?
Might as well just say Ollie.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
That's all right.
Is that right?
Yeah, not bad. Pretty good.
It's not specificity or anything.
Specificity.
He mostly did it correct! Yay!
Yeah, well, I listened to last week's episode like 3 times,
Yeah.
so as I could try and get the
He's
word
just
right.
muttering in the car on his commute every morning, specificity.
Yeah, and he's got Finley helping him with that, that thing they do to kids where it's like, say it, cover it, read it.
He's bringing up phonics cards.
Here in the US, we had a service. It was like I guess if I told you a 1-900 service, would you know what that means?
Like calling something?
Yeah, like calling
Like
something, but then it
expensive?
costs like a ton of money.
Yeah,
There's one called
okay,
Hooked
yeah.
on Phonics. That was just like...
Yeah. There's a South Park episode with that
Is
as well.
there?
Hooked on
Monkey
Monkey
Phonics.
Phonics.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I'm picturing you calling like 1-900 Hooked on Phonics. And be like, teach me how to say specificity, please.
And then it's 1-900 hooked on mortgage repayments. Because I have to take one out for this fucking phone line.
All right, well, let's move on from Man United because Chuck, for the second week in a row, just refuses to talk about them. Well, to jump from one team that has no strikers to a team that has a very, very good striker, arguably the second best or tied for first best striker in the league, Arsenal 3, Villa 2, Arsenal 2.1 on XG, Villa 1.7, so a perfectly fair result. Arsenal slightly overperforming, but solid
Standard.
value for a win. I cannot tell you my disappointment to be watching the Chelsea match and in the background the announcers being like, oh, Arsenal have scored! Arsenal are down to 10 men, and just like, that was quite the roller coaster with the checking in. I didn't see any of this match because obviously I was busy with a different one. Did either of you catch this match?
No, and the problem is that after about 20 minutes of that match, I already had like half of the stuff I was going to talk about planned out for this fucking podcast. And then they pricked it up by being good. Like, they went down to 10 men. I was like, sweet, this is all good. And then they just like... And even the fact that I have Aubameyang as a captain in my FPL team, it disappointed me when I heard the announcer say Aubameyang has scored, because at that point I knew it was already 2-2. And I'm like, oh, great, now it's 3-2. Fucking... But if Villa could have gone like 4-3, that'd have been good. I mean, Emery out's still trending on Twitter.
Yep.
So that's a thing.
It really fucked the narrative because with Tottenham losing...
I think it should be more like Mustafi out and defence out and half our team out, maybe. Because, like, God forbid, the guy's good, but he's not a fucking magic genie. He can't just turn that into a decent fucking defence. Hence why everyone knows that they're being carried by Aubameyang, who very nicely gave the penalty to Pepe so that he could get his first goal, which is nice.
Oh, really? Is that how it transpired?
Yeah, apparently. That's quite good. But he's a bloody good striker. And if Arsenal didn't have him, or if something happens to him, they are fucked.
Yeah, especially with Lacazette out. Yeah, but they totally fucked the narrative by coming back and getting a win here. Because I was so excited to come on.
I was already, down to 10 men, half time, let's make an inspiring substitution. Bring on Callum Chambers.
Right.
I thought, this is all perfectly set up. Oh, who scores the 2-2 equaliser? Fucking Callum Chambers.
No.
He may as well have just played Carl Jenkinson. And he just got rid of him.
Isn't he at West Ham now, I think? Right?
Who fucking knows?
Somewhere. Some other team.
Recognised hat wearer.
Somewhere else where he's still not playing.
Oh, man, but like it would have been really good because Spurs lost, United lost, we lost. So for Arsenal to lose also, especially against Villa, would have totally fit with the narrative. I even said to you, Chuck, before we started recording, do you want to just pretend that Arsenal lost and just go with that the entire podcast? Just as like all the points that we prepared.
Yeah, I mean, I've managed to get them all in anyway, so...
Yeah, exactly. We've literally pretended anyway. So.
The only solace I take is that Arsenal are below Watford on expected points so far, and they are in...
I'm sorry, what the fuck did
Really?
you just say? What the fuck were the words that came out of your mouth?
Yep, they're below Watford on expected points in, 20th, 19th, 18th, 17th, 16th. 15th. They are in 15th on expected points so far. Below Watford, below Wolves, below Burnley, below Everton, below Brighton, below Southampton.
We don't know if an Emery Arsenal is going to do the usual thing of having a better second half of the season as well. I mean...
At a certain point, you have to think that they're going to turn on him, right? Like, and I know Emery out is finally trending, but he has no idea who his best players are, and it's been well over a season now. Like,
yeah.
How are they below? What?
Unexpected.
Yeah, but
Not on
still,
actual, obviously, but
have you watched Watford play?
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
They're
That is
fucking
amazing.
garbage. They just got pumped 8-0. They conceded 18 goals this season.
I know. For that 8-0 to be
3 goals a
included
game.
in that expected points where they, like, that was what, 6 expected points against them? Or expected goals against them, and they're still above Arsenal? Like, fuck me.
Jeez.
Yeah, so...
This is outrageous.
Yep. That's the only
And
solace
Arsenal
I
are
take,
in
but
fourth.
it's minor comforts.
Well, very much like life in Jurassic Park, we found a way to fuck Arsenal over on our podcast.
Yeah, fuck 'em. Fucking...
Even after they won. Jesus.
Yep. And that does bring us then to our final match of the week. And speaking of trying, but mostly failing to take moral victories and comfort,
I'm not devoid of negativity.
Yeah. Chelsea won, Liverpool 2, 1.7 to Chelsea and 1.1 to Liverpool on XG, marking the second time this season that we have played Liverpool to basically an XG victory and not actually taken any points or like a win out of that situation.
Or won that super friendly.
Or won the super friendly.
I have thoughts.
Yeah, tell me your thoughts, because I have many thoughts and I don't necessarily want to talk about any of them. So
Yeah, that's fine. So Liverpool, obviously, they were 2-0 up at half-time?
yes.
Half-time. So I caught the second half of the game. And I must say, from about the last 25 minutes, I was incredibly impressed with Chelsea.
Thank you.
They looked very, very good. Kante's goal was fantastic. And
Yes.
like, the little turn where Fabinho just didn't bother to track him whatsoever, and to then drive his way, basically through 3 Liverpool players, and smash it past, through Van Dijk and Matip, I think, into the corner. That was fantastic to see. But it was incredibly confusing to me that for Klopp, when you're playing a team like Chelsea, who, by this point, I think they've accepted they can't defend to win.
Nope.
I'd like to think that after 6 games, they know they can't, keep a clean sheet. So they're going to have to go for goals and attack, right?
Yep.
And one of the things that prevents you from attacking so, in such a gung-ho manner, shall we say, is the fact that Liverpool have Mane and Salah who can hit you on the break, so you have to leave some players back to cover for that, which then means that the defence doesn't get overloaded so much, so then they can play out those balls and away you go, they're sprinting off with Firmino and they'll score. So why the fuck, with 20 minutes left, after Kante had scored, does Klopp bring off Mane to bring on James Milner and then have Liverpool somehow hold on and not lose that game, or still get the 3 points when Chelsea were running them absolutely fucking ragged? It was bizarre and one of the weirdest things, and I wish I bothered to leave it on to see the post-match to see what Klopp says, but it was just baffling.
Yeah, doing that at 2-0, you could, with the clock running down, you could maybe accept
2-0, 85th minute maybe, but this was Chelsea had just scored.
Yeah.
I know, and it was plenty of time.
It was
left.
he had the plan, so he was just going to go through with it regardless.
Yeah.
You have to say Liverpool are obviously a much better team than Chelsea right now. It's not even close. And that we've been able to do this to them in 2 separate occasions this early into the season, you have to look at Klopp and say, what are you doing, bud? They're not as good as you. You should be putting them to bed very easily and comfortably. And Liverpool barely hung on. We beat them on XG. That shouldn't be happening. I don't care that we're at home. We haven't fucking won at home yet, which is really frustrating. But Klopp definitely mismanaged this game because it shouldn't even be close.
No, and it does seem weird in that. But, Liverpool have shown this year that they can be got at. I mean, they've kept 1 clean sheet, where they were such a strong defensive team last year, because Alisson won the Golden Glove, I think, with, 20 clean sheets or something like that?
Yeah, 2021, something like that.
2021. Yep. So it was definitely more than half of the games they kept a clean sheet. And this year they've kept 1 out of 6. And they've played Newcastle and Southampton in there. That's not who you concede goals to. Or they should be, really. and Norwich as well, actually. But obviously Norwich have done quite well this year. But they've shown completely that they can be got at.
Yeah.
And there were 2, if not 3, gilt-edged chances for Chelsea afterwards. I mean, the Mason Mount one, it was just... I think if he was a couple of years older, he'd probably put that away because he just snatched at the ball a little bit too early.
I know, that hurt. That really hurt in real time.
Because that one was like, that was the chance. And Willian was playing out of his fucking skin.
Yeah, and there was one in the first half where Tammy and Mason were they were both well in behind the defense, and Tammy chose to take a shot from a hard angle instead of lay it off across. Yeah. And it would have been a tap-in if he had, and that was another one where I was like, ooh, we're going to regret that later. And we did. Like, fuck. But, so, from the, Chelsea fan perspective...
I put it off as much as I could, bud. I started talking about it before
I know.
you.
Thank
Sorry.
you. I appreciate that.
I'm quite surprised, Chuck. You did well.
I'm very much of two minds because, again, moral victory, great. We took it to Liverpool. Liverpool are maybe the second best team in the world right now. Probably,
still 0 points.
Right?
0 points is 0 points, mate.
But yeah, especially with the first half we used 2 substitutions for injured defenders before halftime when we already have Rudiger out. Like, we couldn't even bring him on because he was chilling in jeans and like a very nice jacket actually on the bench.
A very nice jacket.
Yeah, it's true.
No
I did
clear backpacks there.
In my despair, I did take a moment to be like, "Oh, that's a nice outfit. Very nice, Rudiger."
That's a neat sweater.
But Christensen got taken out by Tomori when they were both trying to clear a shot, and it looks like he'd done his knee. Hopefully, God willing, is not an ACL, because that would be a fucking disaster. But he could not walk on his own power. He had to hobble off.
But I don't think it looked as bad as an ACL. But,
it twisted, and then he couldn't put any weight on it. That worries me like crazy. Who knows? I mean, we'll see. We'll find out. Because Mount's thing in the middle of the week, speaking of the Champions League, Mount's ankle injury from that Champions League match.
Yeah, got the still of that.
Very concerning.
Yeah. There was a still knocking round where it looked like that ankle was gone.
That's youth, isn't it?
I mean, there are those that look really bad sometimes, but if it's if it's the standing leg and weight. Like, it didn't look like he was putting that much weight on it.
I have a feeling Christensen might not be long term, but yeah, I hope so. I know what you mean. Not putting weight on is not.
And
good.
Emerson, no one was around him. He just pulled up with a muscle thing. Yeah. So that's super concerning. Because if we have to play Alonso, oh boy. I mean, we already know that. So that's a huge bummer. And then also, I tweeted this before the match, and I very much stand by it, despite the good performance by the lads against a really good team. I'm starting to get worried. In the back of my mind, there's a little whisper of a voice that says, why is Frank not rotating? Why is he not playing when we already have injuries?
This fucking Pulisic guy.
Right. Pulisic is nowhere to be found. Michi won't get a minute. Giroud can't get a minute. Barkley, which actually I think that one's for the best.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. On Tuesday, he came out, and I believe it was maybe the exact same lineup or one change to the Sunday match, less than 48 hours later in the Champions League. And I was like, okay, fine. He's choosing to use these two. We're going to see a lot of rotation and just basically be like, okay, we'll give it a shot, but whatever happens against Liverpool, is going to be what happens. We prioritize the Champions League. And then again, it was mostly the same lineup. He wasn't 3 at the back anymore, but I think that was more out of necessity than anything. And Conte was back, which is great.
But I think if you look at Chelsea's situation, what team has that higher percentage of players that aren't just... I mean, even though these guys have been there since they were kids, they're effectively new to the club.
Yeah.
So what team has that many players that are new to the club and also, in the same respect, kind of new to the league in playing that much? I mean, you look at Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham, Tomori...
Tomori, who, can we take a second to talk about how amazing he's been? He is already better than Zuma. Already probably defensively at least better than Christensen. And he is a child. And he's... I hadn't even heard of him before
Looks
this
very
season,
comfortable.
Really.
I think, was he at Derby last year with...
Yeah, I think he was.
Frank.
Yeah.
So,
another one. Bloody hell.
Yeah, no, they loaned about 3 players out to Derby with him. I remember seeing at the very start of the season, I was like, oh yeah, Frank's there, so that makes sense.
Enough.
But I think because of that, and because this is kind of a project that I think especially with young players, if Frank started to rotate so soon after, like Tammy, he's not going to rotate. He scored like 7 goals recently. But the psychological effect it can have on the younger players is probably a lot more. And especially when he knows he's going to have to rely on them. It's just getting that delicate balance, really, of keeping them happy and keeping them motivated, but also not burning them out, which he kind of got guilty of a bit in last season with Derby, that there were players there that played like 44, 45 out of 46 games.
Right, exactly.
And they were like under 19 and stuff.
True, but you'd hope that young players, especially young Chelsea players, if they've been through the academy, blah, 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 would respect Frank enough that if he communicates with them and says you're not going to be playing all the time...
But if you think for these guys, like some of them have spent 12 years at that club, and it's like, I'm finally getting a chance.
I get what you're saying.
I'm finally getting a chance to actually play for Chelsea. It's gone again.
I get what you're saying, but I just hope that he would be, he's known as pretty intelligent in the world of football. I'd hope he'd be clever enough to be able to pitch that to them in a way that they could understand.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know what you're saying, but yeah.
And I'm not by any means saying he should go full Tinkerman and be rotating them week in, week out. But like 2 matches within 48 hours and then another match against Liverpool only a few days later, like you would think that a decent amount, at least in one of those matches, would have a B lineup. Like I'm thinking about my career mode in FIFA and I'm like, these guys have 25% of their fucking little energy bar left going into this match. That they played so high intensity and took it to Liverpool in the second half especially.
Yeah, they did.
Today is so impressive and like such a credit to those guys, to those kids really, mostly, that like I'm so proud of them in a backwards kind of way. But at a certain point, like I want to fucking win at home. And I'm trying to remove my American bias, but I want to see Pulisic. And like a lot of my English Chelsea fan friends are like, yo, what happened to Pulisic? What's the deal? Like we spent a bunch of money on him. Like this was a perfect time to play him and he didn't even come off the bench. So, like, I'm trying not to be negative because, again, we've looked good. We're very lucky in that the other top 6 teams, or at least the chasing 4 of the top 6, also all look shit.
Yeah.
Like, when you sort by expected points, we're in 4th. By expected points. But we're up there with Liverpool. We're up there with United and City. Tottenham are 2 behind us. And Arsenal, we mentioned, are down in 15th. So, like... we have the luxury of being able to drop points this year. And it's so exciting and happy to be able to watch the youth players. I was having this conversation with Emily a couple of days ago where I was like, I don't think I'm going into this Liverpool match excited to be hurt and disappointed because I feel something.
Sadist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not dead inside. Like, you know what I mean? Like I really care about this team. I'm so emotionally invested, and that's great because that's what we fucking are here for. Like, what's the point of being a football fan? If not to, like, emotionally invest in your team and, like, root for them and care. And to see, like, a 4-3-3 Liverpool versus a 4-3-3 Chelsea just took me right back to 2007. And I was like, this is fucking great. And I don't care, like, I'm going to be sad because they're probably going to crush us, but who knows? And, like, it just felt good. But the other side of me is like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Because there's other guys here. And you're going to run these kids into the ground if we do this all year long. So we'll see. Callum has played 2 games now, full 90 with the youth. Ruben isn't too far behind in a couple of months. Rudiger played in the midweek, and I guess he's like kind of sort of healthy. Kante is finally back, it looks like.
Is Lampard going to play him as a box-to-box, Kante? Or,
yeah,
I mean...
I do for the record...
He was, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. For the record, I do think that is Kante's best role. Because, I mean, you saw that with the goal today, and he's done that a couple of times against United and some other big matches over the years.
Oh, he's definitely able to play it. It's just pre-season, that was a lot of the chat. Is Lampard going to move him back to his best position as a holding midfielder type thing? I'm
fine with Jorginho playing at the base and Kante playing box-to-box in this particular version of the system 4-3-3.
Yeah.
Where Kante is free to come back. Like, there was a breakaway late where it was Salah versus Kante one-on-one. The entire defense was completely taken out, and he took the ball off Salah's feet like it was nothing.
Yeah.
And that was Conte back to like old school Conte at his best.
Yeah.
And I think if Conte can play box to box but have the freedom and the permission almost to drop back and cover when he needs to, then it's great. I think that's his best role.
He's a very intelligent player.
Yeah, what happened with
well,
Sarri is that he not only said you're not playing at the base, but you're also like not allowed to defend, basically. Like Sarri's system was so fucking rigid. Whereas Lampard's is like, okay guys, I trust you, and here's what you should do, mostly, but like also figure it out on the pitch.
So he's basically like those substitute teacher who comes in, who's a bit like a hippie. He's just like, yeah, just go with what feels natural. Like, this is a safe environment, guys. If you want to play with the blocks, play with the blocks.
And then you'd go up behind him and scream in his ear.
Yeah. Football! I'm like, we never at all last year would have seen Conte making that last-ditch tackle being the only person back, right?
Yeah.
And here we did. So I'm okay with him playing box-to-box because I do think he's really, really good. He could be one of the best box-to-box midfielders in the world. He's already probably the best defensive midfielder in the world. And I think one of the few good things that Sarri did is he really developed Conte's forward-moving ball progression skills and passing skills to a level that he had never really hit before. Who knows? I mean, we'll see what happens when Ruben comes back. Kovacic has been good. Jorginho has been good. He almost got in a fight with Henderson, which like is really nice to see him fired up.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck yeah. Jorginho's taking a bit of a leadership role, but the big concern, and it was last year and it continues to be, is the defense. Like, we've conceded so many fucking goals on set pieces. Both goals today were set pieces. There wasn't even open play goals. Liverpool didn't get a lot of looks from open play, which is like, that's good, I guess. But
Salah was not good in possession. I think he was losing the ball a lot. They're always trying to get it to him, and I wasn't entirely convinced by him, to be honest.
But I'm real fucking tired of teams like the announcer saying, oh, one from the training ground there, and we concede.
Yeah.
It happened in the Champions League. It happened twice today.
Yeah.
And that is very much a thing where you're like, oh, if we're conceding from set pieces consistently, that's on the manager. Yeah. That's not on the players that much. Like, obviously, they have to track their players and stuff, but when it's happening over and over and over again, that is a manager thing. And I'm not trying to be overly critical of Frank because, again, it's a transition year, and I'm trying to stay positive and be in a good mood. But the set pieces thing is a real fucking concern, and the rotation thing, this week of all weeks would have been the week to rotate, and that he didn't makes me concerned. So, you take that with the moral victory, and it's like a weird week.
Are we being, because we were only negative about Liverpool, saying that they can be got at, which is true, but they are...
Well, they didn't look...
Well, but all I'm saying is, from a wider point of view, they are 6 matches, 6 wins. They've not lost a top flight game in 15 or something. I think they're closing in on Man City's record.
I think it's 16 now. Wins.
Is it?
Wins in a row.
Right,
yeah,
okay. So
not just not beaten, wins in a row.
Okay, so we're in that sort of realm where they're getting towards record-breaking territory. I know you're absolutely right, they can be got at, but should they be given any credit at all? I mean, this is a good start, isn't it? I mean...
Look, even we can't be that much of a bunch of pricks.
Yeah, we can't be this churlish, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I have just spent the last few weeks, well, not the last few, last like couple of weeks, being like, oh shit, they might actually be title favorites now.
Yeah.
And I stand by that take. I mean, especially with the injury thing with City that we were talking about before, I do think like there's a very good chance that even more than last year.
Yeah. One City Tonkin of Watford does not change what has been a consistent record for Liverpool, does it?
Yeah, and Liverpool are right there in the conversation on expected points as well if we're talking about underlying stats. It's kind of, actually, by the underlying stats, it's been a 3-way sort of race for the best team so far between Liverpool, City, and United, weirdly.
Yeah.
And I think that's just off United's defense. Like, United's defense has just been so good. So yeah, I think they do fully deserve credit. And Firmino is so fucking good.
He's playing amazingly.
He's their best player so far this year.
Yeah,
it's not Salah and it's 100%. Not Mane. It's definitely Firmino.
He's the one who you can't even call him unsung at this point because he's
of course
sung so much about how he's unsung. But it is true, just the way he plays, and I think it doesn't take a lot to understand that the way Mane and probably Salah more play is incredibly selfish. Like, The amount of chances I see where Salah could have an easy layoff to Mane or Firmino and doesn't.
Yeah.
And obviously, between Mane, that gets a bit of friction, but Firmino's just like, okay. And he will selflessly just give the ball out to any of them if it results in what would be a goal and therefore 3 points for the team. He's absolutely fantastic.
It's obviously entirely different styles of play, but in that regard, he does remind me of Drogba in his prime. In that Drogba just cared about winning, and he would get important goals, but he would also get important assists if that's what the situation called for. And he just did whatever it takes, and like, Drogba was a bit of a, I don't want to say like prima donna, but a bit of a spoiled brat sometimes with referees and with opponent players, but never with his own teammates. Never. He only ever got along with his teammates, was a good squad guy, and did whatever it took to like score. And like, if that wasn't him scoring, he still did whatever it took. Drogba and Lampard were fucking amazing.
We're not talking about Chelsea anymore. For fuck's sake, stop.
No, but I'm saying like that's basically the highest compliment I can give to a striker is because for obvious like very personally biased reasons like.
Oh, that's in May 19, 2012.
Yep, that's right. But yeah, no, Firmino. I think I would be giving Firmino Player of the Year if the season ended today.
No, because then Liverpool win the league. I don't have that. They definitely. I mean. I don't know if either of you saw it midweek, but the Napoli-Liverpool game was absolutely fantastic. I mean, it was that classic of unstoppable force versus immovable object at both ends of the pitch. Both very free-scoring attacking teams with incredible defence, and it was just like Koulibaly makes this amazing stop, and then Van Dijk makes this amazing stop, and just went at each other, and you could tell it was the kind of game where it's going to be who blinks first out of the defences.
Yeah.
And so when that kind of happened, and then obviously Robertson made a bit of a mistake, which, just as a sidebar, it is disgusting the fact that one of the best players for them that got umpteen assists has felt that after one mistake and the abuse he's got on social media has deleted or gone off of all of it.
Ridiculous, yeah.
Just because of a penalty. Fucking disgusting, and it's also, again, just shows why I hate Liverpool.
Yeah, I had that in the rundown for Rapid Fire News, and then I was like, nah, fuck that. I'm not talking about that shit.
Yeah.
Because those people are
it's
scum.
fucking disgusting. But,
yeah.
But anyway, and in that way, you can see that that's why I think that at the minute, even though it's 5 points, and it's still so early days, 5 points now is not worth the same as 5 points after 34, 35 game weeks. It's just not. And so I think the hyperbole and the build-up and the Sky Sportsness of it all to say, like, yeah, they've got this 5 point lead. Like, but if City beat them twice, that 5 point lead is gone. That's it. And that's definitely not an intangible thing to happen. And if a team like Napoli have shown that they can do it against Liverpool, albeit, away at San Pauli, but they've done it twice now in 2 consecutive seasons. Napoli have beaten Liverpool in the Champions League. And they're showing that they can be got at and conceding goals, to everyone so far, apart from Burnley, weirdly. They didn't get Burnleyed. If City are reverting to the kind of Liverpool role of we're just going to score more goals than you, and we're not necessarily going to be that solid defensively if our defenders are out, then in a whole different way, that matchup between the two of them gets a lot more exciting. Again, but for different reasons of last year, if you see what I mean.
And like, obviously it's possible, or perhaps even like probable that City will win both of those matches. But it's like the old double game week argument that they used to have on gaffer tapes every year, right? Like, sure, Aguero might score 5 against Swansea, but statistically, it's more likely that the best time to use your triple captain is on a double game week. Like, it's not like City will probably win one of those, but for them to win both and not drop points anywhere else along the way, or not drop more points than Liverpool, is a very, very real possibility that Liverpool can hold that. Like, 5 points is a decent amount of points, man.
But they were 7 or 8 points clear at Christmas last year.
Sure, yeah. 10, I thought. Wasn't it 10?
I think it could have got to 10, and then Liverpool drew the game not won. So that put them from like 7 to 8 points, I think. I don't know. And then everyone was like, well, there's no way City can do this and replicate them. And then both of them just went win, 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 win.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there's a difference between possible and probable. And I think at this point you have to give Liverpool plenty of credit that it's at best a coin flip if they're not if they're not slight favorites. Despite not being the better team, I don't think that Liverpool are a better team than City.
Well, speaking about league predictions, Oscar, and who's going to win, remember we got a game.
Yeah.
We have got a game.
Is the Predictor League, the League of Predictions with the return of the intro music. It's not just rapid fire news that's coming back, it's Chuck's amazing intros. Johnny OG, still top. How's he doing it?
How is he doing it?
How's he doing it? 2 years in a row. What the fuck?
Hell, we're just a cash cow to him.
We're just some sort of bunch of chumps that just potter along thinking that we know shit. We don't.
He's a Patreon and has been for a while, but if this carries on, he's going to be up on the deal.
He is going to be up on the deal.
Like he won
that's
last
true.
year.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
He's going to be in profit.
He is the underpants gnome. He was like, step 1, listen to a podcast. Step 3, profit.
Yeah.
I'm stalling because this league is just incredibly volatile. And when I updated it today, everyone's scores went up by about 24 points. And that has meant that because the league is topsy-turvy, that Oscar's back in 4th.
Fucking hell. Okay, we really are early in the season if this is the sort of swings we get.
So Oscar's back in 4th. Ian's 14th.
What?
Yeah, I'm 9th.
This is ridiculous.
It's all mental. There's a 5-way tie in 4th place.
Okay.
That's where Sam Danby, Dave Matteo, Adam P, Dan Parkinson reside.
Clearly the league means nothing at the minute.
Clearly, it, like Vienna, means nothing.
So when I'm doing good, it means nothing. When I'm doing bad, it's exactly right.
Good, got it,
yes,
lovely.
Your expected shitness is high.
Excess.
Your excess is very, very high.
And not just in your insurance.
Yeah, and there we go. Predictor League is 6 games. It means fuck all. We've all got loads wrong. So
yeah.
What's next? FPL team.
FPL team.
The podcast FPL team is not doing bad.
Yes, possibly because. Well, I mean, not last week. This week,
Yep.
week before, you fucked it.
Yep.
And then, not gonna lie, admin again forgot to change anything with the team.
We did. We all fell asleep at the switch on that one.
Yeah, we all kind of just assumed after we said wildcard that probably someone else would do a wildcard poll, and no one did.
I don't even know the password to this team, so I take zero blame here.
Well, you're being assigned 33% of it. So on Thursday, we remembered the poll and then put the poll out and just decided that we'll do it this week. So we have hit the wildcard button. I think Ian's done some sort of wizardry to mean that we don't lose value.
I've already done a few transfers just for price change stuff, getting Aguero in and stuff.
Wizardry and magic because he knows how that stuff happens. And so we're wildcarding. So I guess admin. I mean, I'm literally about to start a new job tomorrow. So
fine.
You know, admin wise, it's a bit tight. But I'll just pretend I'm part time and just say that FPL breaks are just part of my life.
Well, I'm looking at the updated table right now, and the community team, the podcast team, has officially overtaken me as being in first place between the 4 of us.
All of a sudden, it's my team again. Thanks, guys.
Taking full responsibility.
Yes. No, don't worry, Oscar. You don't get 33% accountability anymore. 0% accountability.
It's on 360. I'm on 359. Stimmers is on 326. And Chuck
feels low.
is on 325.
Oh, God.
Oh, I'm a point behind Ian.
Jesus.
We're only a point behind Ian.
We're close. Right, okay.
Lovely.
So the Hive Mind's doing very well. So
the Hive Mind is doing well. So this kind of crowdsourcing thing is working. So I don't really know how we'll work the wild card.
Well, we'll do what we did before. We'll come up with we'll do a Twitter moment where we'll come up with a load of polls with a load of stuff, and then they'll all say, get the most expensive player, and you'll just figure out whatever you want to do.
Yeah, and then we'll need a budget of 300 million.
Exactly.
And then we'll realise we're not Chelsea, and so we can't do that. So chances are we'll have Aguero.
There's going to be some must-haves, I think.
Kevin We won't have Daniel James.
Fucking Daniel James.
Fucking Daniel James, exactly. We're not having any Man United players. If you suggest Man United players, we're going to block you. And that's about it, really. So we'll open that up. Whilst we're on the subject of FPL, there's obviously been, for those of you who listen, there's been a lot of people who've had their accounts hacked or some shit recently, which is a bit shit because it's like, just let people play the game and don't
just
fuck
don't
it
be a
up.
bellend.
Like, don't be a jeb end, and you haven't really got anything to benefit from it. So, we've kind of done this community team so that people can scratch that itch and kind of, if they want something crazy or like a decision they can't really justify in their own team, project it onto someone else. So now, for those of you that want to, I don't know, log in and tinker with someone else's team, I've genuinely started a team with a different email address, and like anyone can log in and do anything. Personal data wise, doesn't matter. It's registered to a Mr. Ian Puente. So just did a hybrid there. Couldn't put a middle name on it. And so if you type in on the Fantasy Premier League website, Miles Offside Cod, that's cod like the fish.
Oh, God.
British fish for British people.
Why not Miles Offside Koi?
Because koi is KOI, and for cod, I thought, it'd be funny if I just changed one letter. And so, yeah, it's cod.
Okay.
milesoffsidecod@gmail.com. The password is genuinely password1 with a capital P. Don't be a knobhead and change the password so no one else can access it. Don't just deliberately take 1 billion points hits like 900 transfers.
Right, so this is, hang on, this is a brand new FPL team you've created.
Yeah, I did it today. Lols. I've started the account, but I just did like auto pick.
Right, and you're just opening that up with those details. Anyone can do what they like.
Yeah.
Can I request that we change the password to password is taco?
That's a niche joke there. That's good. Bring back the league. If you want to like go on there and do the kit, I don't know, that could be something. I don't know, guys.
I just fear that the first person who listens to this is just going to decimate it into some sort of terrible.
Yeah, but you can't because the first game week, no points hits.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So people will log in. It's going to have some weird thing. I don't know.
So it's almost the last person to log in is going to have the final say.
Yeah, basically. Again, week 38, you're like, this has gone really well. Fuck it up.
Yeah.
Maybe at that point, I'll just change the password. But seriously, please, anyone listening to this, don't be a cunt. Don't be, and don't bleep that one either. I really want my words to be
God's
felt.
Sake.
And change the password. Cause
you just really ruled annoying. Out all of our listeners.
Are you saying all of our listeners are
Yeah, that's why they listen, because they like to hear the three of us and they can relate.
Wow. I've done a thing, so there you go.
That's great, I love that.
Made the best of a bad situation.
Yeah.
And, that's like a even further community team.
Yeah.
And then again, if that one does well, it's my team.
You're going to take back
then you're
control.
changing the password.
Yeah, I'm outsourcing FPL.
It's good. Well, that's amazing. So there you go. I think I need to hit the socials because I've been very bad at that lately. So if you wanna vote on our FPL team, that'll be on Twitter at Miles Offside Pod.
Not
but obviously,
Miles Offside Cod.
But not Miles Offside Cod. Obviously, if you want to take over a brand new FPL team, then it's Miles Offside Cod at gmail.com with, what was it, password 1 with a capital P?
Password 1, capital P.
Okay. But if you want to email us, where we'll actually get it, because I presume you're not monitoring this COD account.
No, the email address is null and void.
You can email us at milesoffsidepod@gmail.com. We're on Facebook, Miles Offside Pod. No, it's just Miles Offside on Facebook, isn't it?
I don't know.
We're on Instagram, Miles Offside Pod on Instagram. Probably should have made them all the same. Whatever.
Nah.
They'll all be Miles Offside Cod by the end of the week, probably. So, fine. And also, you can get extra stuff on patreon.com/milesoffsidepod, where I do FPL podcasts for some reason.
Which I will be taking over duties of as I am now
shortly.
resident FPL expert.
Maybe I should open source those.
You should.
Yeah.
Outsource it, mate. My stress levels down. I'm having a breezy time. The podcast team, averaging 60 points a week. It's having a lovely time.
Doing well in the FPL Roundtable League against other podcasts. Doing quite well now.
Yeah, and then they're all saying, "Oh, we're not concentrating properly." Well, neither are we, and we're beating you.
Yeah, we've forgotten to make changes about half of the weeks.
We got so lazy, we got other people to do our team.
Chuck literally fell asleep once when he was supposed to be doing the changes.
I didn't... Okay, yes, I fell asleep. Okay, yeah.
That is a thing. That is actually a thing.
Yeah, but I woke up and saw that it was a tie and it was going nowhere and thought, fuck this. This is Brexit all over again. I'm not going to like the outcome. I'm going to have to make a decision. No one's going to like it.
Same level of impact.
Yeah, same level of impact. It just ended in confusion and I felt a bit tired.
Cool. Right, should we go through next week's football?
Oh yeah, football. Football, we always forget the next week football. And I always close the fixtures before we get to this point. Bastard.
Yep, I had closed my second laptop already.
Fantasy.premierleague. Is it .com or .co.uk? I should really know this.
It's .com.
Yeah,
or is it .co.uk over there? Are there two different websites?
I don't know. This one says IP address not found. .com. Hooray!
There you go.
Fixture. Oh god, this laptop's slow. Just someone else just want to do fixtures. Is
Yeah,
anyone...
I got it.
Yeah, okay, cool. Cheers.
Saturday,
mate.
September 28, 2019 at 7:30 a.m. / sometime
fuck, I
plus
don't
5
like it
hours
when
of
he
that
does.
in the UK. Most of our listeners are American, so I'm all right with the 7:30 a.m. We have Sheffield United versus Liverpool. Liverpool gonna dick 'em, right?
Sorry, I didn't hear. Who are they playing? Liverpool? Dicking?
Sheffield.
Sheffield?
I like Sheffield, but that says dicking all over it.
I don't think dicking. I think Sheffield will give a fair account of themselves, but it could be one of those ones where the scoreline belies the actual play. So it could be a very even 3-1, because a lot of Liverpool's games have been 3-1.
Are you already predicting Liverpool as Burnley of the week?
No.
No.
The stats can still say... Like, the game can look like it's even, and Sheffield could be unlucky, but
Okay.
Liverpool is, still have good shots. Could be tap-ins.
Okay, and we have a poo-poo platter of games at the 10 o'clock hour.
Platter!
We have Aston Villa Burnley. No one cares about that. Bournemouth West Ham. No one cares about that.
Negative.
Chelsea Brighton.
No
I'm
one
the
cares
only
about
one
that.
that cares about that.
No one cares
Yep.
about that.
Palace Norwich. No one cares about that.
Wait, are we away at Carrow Road?
Home.
Nope, you're at home, so you're gonna lose.
Yeah, either way, it didn't really matter. We were going to lose 2-0.
Yeah. Genuinely, if Chelsea don't win against Brighton at home, I'm actually angry at Frank. Because,
Okay.
it's one thing against Liverpool, but, we need to win at home, and if we don't win at home to Brighton, for real's angry. Spurs playing Southampton, and Wolves playing
Burnley of the week.
Watford. Burnley of the week is Southampton, you think?
Yeah.
I could see that. I'm down with that. Wolves, Watford, I bet Watford surprise
Can
everyone.
a game end in negative goals?
What, Wolves, Watford? God, yeah, that's a 19th. You wouldn't have thought, pre-season, that at
No.
this point, Wolves, Watford would be
A relegation
bottom
6-pointer.
clash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are on 2 and 4 points.
Next up, we have at 12:30 Everton Man City. That screams dicking.
That's
Everton have not been good.
a paddling. 5-0.
Yep.
5-0.
Yeah.
Only one match on Sunday.
That's weird.
Interesting that.
Huh.
Leicester Newcastle.
Fuck off, not watching that. That's
Yeah, not watching that.
Looks like we got a free Sunday, gents.
Yeah, exactly. I'm getting a tattoo on Saturday, and I was worried about driving back to home on time to make it to record this, but I guess I'll just skip the Sunday morning matches and drive then,
It'll be fine.
just to get back on time. And Monday, the big one of the weekend, Manchester United at home versus Arsenal.
Oh, God. I don't want to watch that either.
Who's going to win that? Genuinely don't know.
No one. No one wins that. Society is less for that.
Years ago, that used to be such a tasty game, that one. You'd watch that, it'd be guaranteed fights and Martin Keown kicking off. It was always great fun.
And that's just Fergie and Wenger. Right.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's, and yeah, like you say, I'm just not enthused about that. As a
How
fun.
the mighty has fallen.
Exactly.
I bet Jesse Lingard still doesn't score against them.
I don't think Arsenal will have enough to go at United's very good defense, and I don't think United have an attack despite Arsenal's very bad defense, so that kind of screams 0-0 to me.
Oh, God.
Which, of course, means now it's going to be 5-5 because all my predictions are fucking garbage.
Next week's an absolute washout, isn't it? Should we not bother?
Nah, we'll find something to talk about, won't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about food in New York City, probably. Right? We'll do more New York City restaurants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we didn't cover that, actually. Sam Danby went to 2 of the restaurants that Oscar recommended in episode 59.
Yeah, I'm glad to have helped. I mean, he had been to New York before, and I gave him some recommendations last time around, but I think this was the first time I got him to go to Joe's Pizzeria.
It was the first time he listened to you because he didn't trust you last time.
He went to Tony's, which is that Italian place I was telling you guys about. He seemed to have a lovely time there. And then he went to Joe's Pizza, which is like probably the best slice of pizza, or one of the two best slices
that
of
wasn't
pizza
on the
in New York.
podcast. That was a private recommendation because he tweeted us saying that he'd been to Tony's. What was it? Tony DiNapoli.
Tony DiNapoli.
That's right. Tony DiNapoli.
Tony DiNapoli don't know what Napoli is, don't care.
So if you want private restaurant recommendations from us, go ahead and sign up for the Patreon. And
Shut up in your face, you big bald fuck.
This is a service Oscar now provides.
Yeah, and that was the 4th person on the podcast for Oscar's brother there. Tony DiNapoli back. Hey. So that's it. We're done? Sweet.
Yep.
Right.
Sounds good.
Lovely. We've got that wrapped up. We've done rapid fire news. Pal.
7 hours later.
We actually talked a lot of football. Hashtag content.
We really did.
But for now, for this week, before we go to next week's garbage fixtures, it's time to say goodbye. Take care, Oscar.
Bye.
Take care, the Stimson.
Never got that at school. Cheers, mate.
Bet he never did, and he's going to get it now. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.